Good. All right, so I wanted to do a little update. I apologize. I really wanted to let you guys know. I forgot to before I left that I was going to be out of town yesterday and this morning. So Benny was working with Zeke yesterday and today, and I'm back now. So everything's great. But everything went really well. Benny was talking about how well he's doing. And I don't want you to think like it's a detriment to have him work with different handlers. So even when you guys came for your lesson, you saw he was still making progress. And not only that, but he's doing what we call generalizing. Good. So generalization is something that's really necessary for dog training. And I know a lot of people have the concern that, oh, my dog's in a good way to training, but they're only going to listen to the trainer, and when they come home, they're not going to listen to me, right? And this is what generalization is for. Generalization is when we're teaching the dog that when whoever is holding the leash tells you to sit, you sit. So he's learning to do it with me. He's learning it to do it with Benny. He's going to learn to do it with you, just like he was learning with the place bed. And it's just going to allow him a better, deeper understanding of the behavior. The other thing is, too, we want to change the picture as he becomes more confident with each of the behaviors. So that way he understands that this behavior is the same, whether we are here in my backyard, in my driveway, at the park, at the store. These behaviors are the same everywhere, no matter what. Even when we have big changes at home, when family comes to visit, when new people come over for the first time, these behaviors always stay the same, okay? If you're not familiar, this weekend is, or this whole week almost, is the National Dog Show. And so I was there competing with a couple of my dogs. We did fine. It's the national show, so my dogs are not show dogs. But we did do a little of some of the other performance sports, and we did show with my Dutch Shepherd. But it was really cool because we got to meet all of his relatives, siblings, his father. We got to do a group picture with like 10 Dutch Shepherds who were all related. It was really cool. But it was something I signed up for months ago, so I do apologize. I totally meant to tell you guys. But regardless, he got to train with Benny, and Benny was working primarily on place, but Benny was saying that his heeling is fantastic. He's doing his sits. We haven't done downs yet formally. We kind of introduced it a little bit, but we haven't put it on command yet. So the concept of commands is something I wanted to talk about today. So if you remember, when we did our place lesson, we didn't start introducing the word place until well into the lesson. And the same thing goes with heel. I know we talked about this in the last videos when I was doing heel. I don't start using the word heel until further along the progression. Same thing with sit. Now, what I do want you to realize is when I do say sit, and this is something you can go back and watch our trip to Hobby Lobby, is if I do say sit, I am only going to say it one time. And after that, he is going to do it. Now, there's two ways he can do it. He can do it my way, which is where he sits on his own, and he's going to get a cookie, and everything's great. Or he's going to refuse to do it, and then he's still going to have to do it, but he's not going to get a cookie. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So I remember originally we talked a little bit about how we don't want to force our dogs to do stuff using the leash, pulling them, pushing them, because they're just going to push back, right? This is a concept that's really well known. It's called opposition reflex, right? I push you, you push back. I pull you, you pull back, right? Now, we can actually use this to our advantage. When our dogs have predictable responses to things, we can always use that for our training, okay? So if I know that if I pull the leash in a certain direction, that's going to encourage my dog to go the opposite direction, we're actually going to use that. And we use that for sit quite a bit. So if I ask him to sit and he doesn't, I am going to use the leash. Now, what we're going to do is use what's called leash pressure. Now, there's a couple different ways we can use the leash. We'll talk about the different ways we can use it. The first one's going to be leash pressure. You might see me using the leash in other ways, like a correction. Like if he steps off, he's going to get a correction. If he doesn't step off, he's going to get rewarded. Now, if you noticed, I'm going to show you this right here real quick, even though it's off topic a little bit. He was looking at the ground. He got up. He looked like he was going to step off, but I didn't do anything, right? Because he's not breaking the rules until his foot hits the ground. So until then, we're not the thought police. We're not going to start preemptively correcting or preemptively stopping him or anything like that. We need to let him make that decision to cross that line before we give him a correction, okay? Good. I like that. That's good boy. All right. So when we ask our dog for a behavior, they have one opportunity to do it on their own. So if I say place, he has one chance to do it on his own. If he doesn't do it the first time I ask him, either I am going to correct him or I'm going to help him, okay? Now, when we are using leash pressure, it's important to understand what the dog is going to do when they feel it. So, when we want our dog to sit, we want our dog to move down and back, right? Because if you think about it, when they're sitting, they're moving their butt down and back. So, if I want to encourage that, I'm going to apply pressure kind of straight up, essentially, okay? So, if I want my dog to sit, what I like to do is I actually use my left hand for this, is I take the leash straight up from their neck and I pull straight up. I'm not going to do it right now because he's obviously down. He's obviously in place. So I'm going to ask him to come off the bed. Again, if you notice, I'm in the heel position. I'm going to give him a release command and we're going to move forward. And I'm going to ask him for a sit. Free. Sit. Good. Now he did it all on his own, right? So I'm going to reward that. If he doesn't do it on his own, I'm going to correct it or give him leash pressure. Free. Sit. Good. Now, sit. So that is a correction, okay? Now, when I said the word N-O, if you notice, he went into that sit. No. Sit. Free. Place. So the word no means he's going to get that correction. The correction is just like a little leash pop, right? But instead of me holding the leash like this, it's this little pop that's going directly to the prong collar, okay? For pressure, it's just a constant, steady pressure. It doesn't have to be super hard. We're not going to do any weird pulsing. We're not going to do any weird like flipping or whatever. It's just a straight pressure in a very determined direction, right? I'm going to be very specific about what direction we pull, because if we are inadvertently pulling him forward, he's going to start sitting further and further back. So if I pull him forward like this, he's going to start to sit further back. If I'm pulling him like across my body like this, he's going to start to sit further and further away. So you'll find that if your dog starts to do like a weird habit, like sitting too far behind you or sitting crooked or sitting far away from you, think about how we're using our leash pressure, and they'll probably give you your answer. All right. Now, he obviously has been working on his sits for a long time. His sits are really, really good. So he's probably not going to make any mistakes. And what I don't like to do is I don't like to encourage our dogs to make mistakes for the purpose of teaching you, the humans, because that does not benefit the dogs. But what we're going to do is we're going to explain it really well, so that way when it is time to use that information, you know what you're doing. Oh, sit. Okay. The prong collar got a little twisted. I'm just going to fix it real quick. There we go. Much better. There we go. That might have been why it was itchy. I doubt it, but maybe. Place. All right. Good. Good boy. Yeah. Now, one of the things I did do, because he was having soft poops, is I put pumpkin powder on his kibble. I think he likes it. He's eating his food, but it does help to regulate his digestive system a little bit. Good. All right. Now, once our dog understands the concept of the leash pressure, they are able to use it a little bit more freely, meaning we can start to use it a little bit more directionally, meaning we're not always going to be as worried about that opposition reflex. So essentially what's going to happen is that if my dog does feel that pressure and he sits, it's not because he's necessarily pulling away from the pressure, it's because he understands what the pressure means now. So now he's kind of giving into the concept, oh, I feel the pressure, I know that means to sit, I give, I will sit, right? Free. And so what we can actually do is we can start to use that pressure as a guide more than an opposition. Good. So for instance, if I want him to lay down, I can apply a little bit of downward pressure. So you see right there how he stood up? I just turned the pressure on and he sat back down. Free. Sit. Good. Now he didn't sit fast enough for me there, so I just applied a little pressure. Free. Sit. Good. So if I wanted him to go into a down position, two things. One, I'm going to release him into a free. I'm going to let him sit in that heel position on his own without being told. Good. And then I'm going to hold the leash kind of short and pull slightly downward. Good. Free. Now, the key there that I didn't tell you is that I had a little bit of food in my hand. All right? So when I'm doing this, I have a little bit of food in my hand. Free. And I'm going to introduce that pressure downward with the food. So he's probably going to just follow the food, but that's okay because he's going to feel the leash pressure also. Free. So I'm going to pull down and have the food here. Just gentle. Good. Free. And I'm going to click when the elbows hit the ground. Again, notice that I'm not giving him a command to down. I'm just helping him into the position, marking, and then releasing. So we're going to free, not yet. Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to go. No. What I don't want him to do, free, is I don't want him to paw at the leash like that. Good. No. Free. So I do not want him pawing at my hands. I don't want him being like, hurry up, right? He has to wait patiently. Good. For me to reward him. Free. Right? So we talked about breeds and breed temperaments and breed tendencies. Giant Schnauzers, inherently stubborn, inherently dominant, inherently pushy. Free. Right? And he has those traits. Right? This pushiness, like hurry up. Good. Free. These are part of his temperament, meaning they are going to be genetically programmed into him, and it's going to be something you're going to kind of be working against, and that's fine. We're aware that it's there, but we want to make sure we are not allowing it to be reinforced. Meaning if he paws at my hand, I am not rewarding him. Good. Free. Excellent. All right. Now, the beauty of this is that we can teach our dog not to fight the leash pressure, right? Free. We can teach our dog not to fight the leash pressure by pairing the pressure, free, with what we call luring. Luring is when he follows the food. I'm luring him around. When he follows it, we're calling that luring. So I'm combining and pairing the leash pressure with a little bit of luring, right? Free. So now I can actually teach him not to resist the leash pressure, but kind of give into it. And I only like to do this after he fully understands that the leash pressure upward is for that sit. Free. Okay? So that way, if he does go into that down, when he's supposed to be in a sit, I can actually use that leash pressure to help him up, right? Free. Or if he's in a seated position, I want him in that down, I can use the leash pressure to help him into that position. Free. The reason I like that is because if you notice, right, when I'm standing here talking, it's very easy for me to help him into a seated position just by pulling up lightly. But it's a kind of a big effort to pull him down into that down position. Free. But there is a little cheat I like to do. And as he gets more familiar with that leash pressure, we can use this little cheat. Let's see if he kind of gets it. So I can kind of just gently use my toe as a fulcrum. Yeah! See, he's getting it. So he felt that leash pressure, and instead of fighting against it, free. He gave into it and went down instead. And so that's what we want him to understand. The other way this is going to benefit us is that, let's say we were walking, and let's say he's not paying attention like he's supposed to, and he does feel the pressure at the end of the leash, he's not going to keep pulling into it, ideally. We want him to understand that leash pressure, free, is information that is there to guide him. So if he feels upward pressure, it means I want him to sit. If he feels downward pressure, it means I want him to down. If he feels pressure pulling him back on a walk, it means he's going too far ahead. Free. I know I'm getting a little all over the place. I'm exhausted. I left Florida at like 5:30 this morning. So I'm pretty sleepy. But I do apologize for jumping all over the place. What I do want to talk about before we wrap it up today is that if we're working on the behavior free, now, if we're working on this behavior, which is going into that down position, right? We're working on this, free. What I do not want you to do is tell him to sit and then have him do it. Good boy. If we're going to do sit, we're only going to do sit. Free. I'm not going to tell him sit and then down and then sit and then down and then sit and then down. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes we're just hanging out here talking. He'll do this, and then he'll go into the other position, and then he'll come back up, and then he'll go down, and then he'll stand up, right? And this would be a product, this would be a much more intense product if I was sitting here going sit and down and sit and down and sit and down. Free. So when you're practicing this is why having that leash pressure is super helpful, but ideally also having what we call an auto sit. Free. Auto sit is when we're walking and we just stop, and then he goes into a sit. We're not quite there, and that's okay. So if we're walking together and I come to a halt, he should sit automatically. I can reward that for sure. But from here, this is where I would do the good. Free. All right. If he doesn't sit automatically and I want to do a repetition of down, then I'm going to start here, use upward pressure to help him sit, and then we go into that down position. Free. You're just too smart. You're so far ahead of me. You're making it hard for me to teach your mom and dad. Free. Good job. Ready? Heel. Good boy. Okay. We're going to go into that behavior. Very nice. Free. Free. Excellent. Free. Now, like, if you notice, he's sitting crooked, right? So this crooked sitting is free. Very, very common. We deal with it a lot. Mostly because most people, when they want their dog to sit at home, free, they're going to go like this, and they go, sit. The dog's going to sit in front of them. So when we talk about changing the picture, we want him to understand this behavior. Free. He's constantly trying to recreate the picture he's familiar with at home, which is sitting in front. And he's like, free. As we start to get repetitions of him sitting in the heel position, free, he's going to try and recreate that position in the front. So you can see he's already starting to spin out a little bit. Free. Good. Free. Again, you see that paw coming up. He's like, hurry up, give it to me. Good. Good. Excellent. So we are going to spend some time working on making sure he's sitting nice and straight every single time. The reason why he gets crooked is because he has a long history of sitting in front of you. So when he goes home, we're not going to let him sit in front of you anymore. Do you see him booping my hand? No. Free. So him booping my hand is like, hurry up. Him offering all these different behaviors is him telling me to hurry up, essentially, right? So as he gets more impatient, he's going to start to get more pushy and more pushy. And I don't care. I'm not going to reward that. Free. Heel. Good. Heel. No. Heel. Heel. No. Heel. So I'm not going to reward him when he's sitting crooked. I'm going to wait until he gets into a really nice straight heel position. I'm going to try this again. Heel. Good. Yes, that's a really nice position there. Good. Free. Since we're talking about sits and things like that, if he does sit crooked, but it's fairly close, what I can do is I can still reward him and teach him about position at the same time. Heel. So for instance, if he sits crooked, there we go. So he's sitting crooked. I can still reward that, and I can just feed him over here. What's going to happen is if every time he sits crooked, he realizes he has to turn his head that way to get the food, he's going to be pretty smart, and he's going to figure out, man, if I just sit a little bit more this way, I'll be able to get that food faster. No, sit, right? It's just like he likes to hang out my left-hand side. That's where the food always is. So if I start to reward him with his head turned outward, heel. Good. He's going to start to sit a little bit more straight. Heel. Heel. No. No. Good. Excellent. Heel. No. Heel. Heel. Come on. Good. Yes. Heel. No. Heel. Come on. No. Yeah, there we go. I want you to notice kind of what he's doing with his back end. If you notice, he's taking like these side steps. He's starting to. It's a really kind of advanced skill, but I think it's something that'll be really helpful. Again, teaching him that he has back legs. We call this back end awareness. Yeah, we'll do it again. This is an advanced skill, but I think it's going to help him sit a little bit straighter, so we can do it. We can do it. So he's going to start to step a little bit sideways. And he's getting a little confused because I'm using a little bit of leash pressure. There we go. So you can see him stepping a little bit more sideways. There we go. Good. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Good. Come on. Very nice. Come on, bud. Good. Come on. Good. Yeah. There we go. Come on. Let's go. Nope. Come on. Good. Come on. Good. Come on. Not too bad. So he's straight, but he's a little bit too far back. That's okay. The whole point we're talking about is getting him straighter. So that was good. All right, that'll be the end of this session. Sorry, it was a little bit all over the place. It was a good session.